Okay. We'll call this meeting to order of the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey. Let's see. Commissioner Miller, could you please help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I would be more than happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all. Okay, let's move on to roll call, please.
Commissioner Wizard.
Here.
Commissioner Booter.
Here.
Commissioner Healy.
Present.
Commissioner Ballesteros.
Present.
Commissioner Gama. Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner Goodwin.
Present.
We have a quorum. Is Commissioner Gama on the line and just was muted? Did we see her?
Am I imagining that she's 1678?
I guess so.
Okay.
I believe her number is 595 something.
Okay.
Hey, Chair Wizard, I was just pinch hitting. Take it away.
All right, cool. All good. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chair. I appreciate it. Did the roll call and the pledge. We'll move to public comment. Any members of the public wishing to address the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey on items not listed on the agenda. You'll have 3 minutes to tell us what you would like us to know. Again, this is for items not listed on the agenda. And I can't tell if anyone has their hands raised. And then Gabby, is anybody on the phone?
No, and I don't see anyone with their hands raised.
Okay. Well, and we'll kind of we'll hold public comment in abeyance in case anyone comes in late and would like to participate on that item. But next, we'll move to the presentations. Item 4A is a service award presented to Edith Alapisco for 15 years of service. Tori?
So congratulations to Edith for her 15 years with HACM. She'll be getting this certificate of service and a pin, I believe. Is Edith on the line?
She is not. She couldn't make it, but she did want to thank the board for recognizing her.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And if she should be available at a different meeting, we would love to give her her public recognition for her hard work and many years of service. We will now move to item 5, the consent agenda. These items are considered routine and we don't believe they'll require a separate discussion. Any member of the public is welcome to pull an item from discussion from the consent agenda if they would like to ask questions or otherwise debate the item, or rather have the board debate the item. Item 5A is minutes from the regular board meeting held on November 22nd, 2021, and item 5B is minutes from the special weekend meeting on December 18th, 2021. And last, item 5C is resolution 3055 to continue participating either virtually or hybrid under AB 361. Would any member of the board like to pull an item from the consent agenda?
I would not like to pull any items, but I would like to move approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Healy and seconded by Commissioner Miller. We'll go out to the public to see if there's any member of the public that would like to pull an item from consent. Gabby, just confirming again, nobody on the line, and I don't see anybody with their hand up in the the participant list.
Correct. No one on the line.
Okay, then we will close public comment and please call the roll.
Commissioner Wizard,
Aye.
Commissioner Vooter,
Yes.
Commissioner Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballesteros,
Yes.
Commissioner Gama, Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodwin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. It sounded like 6-0-0 with one absent. Next up is the reports of committees. Commissioner Ballesteros, do you have any report from personnel?
Yes, it's on the agenda and it was it's under new business. It's listed under new business.
Okay, very good. We'll cover it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you, Tori, is there somebody from Finance or Development that can give a report since Commissioner Gama is not present?
I believe the Finance and Development Committee did not meet this time. Is that correct? Or am I
That's correct.
Well, there you have it. Next, we'll go
just
to,
imagining that?
yeah, next we'll go to Michi.
Is that the one that
Say again, Tori?
I was just asking Gabby to confirm that Finance and Development did not meet?
That's correct. They did not meet.
Next up is Michi and Michi AA, Commissioners Ballesteros and Miller, if you have any comments for us or reports.
We haven't met.
Yeah, I
and-
don't believe we had a meeting.
Yeah.
All right, easy enough. Next to item 7A, report of the secretary. Tori, go ahead.
Yeah, so we've had a lot going on. I'll start with good news. The Housing Authority received an extra almost $200,000 of Housing Choice Voucher Program admin fees as HUD reconciled the calendar year. And so that's always nice. Sometimes it goes the other way and they reconcile and they take money away from you. So that's good news. We also had the opportunity to apply for 30 new mainstream vouchers and extraordinary admin fees to go along with those vouchers. If we hear anything, I will keep you posted, but wanted to let you know that we had applied for more vouchers. As we had discussed at the last board meeting with the time clock issues and a tardy policy, we have implemented and updated the vacation and the time and attendance policies. And I would say, in general, the feedback that I've gotten has been neutral to positive. And I think that's the best you can hope for with a tardy policy. So that's moving forward. We also held several lunch and learns to try to help people get more familiar with the time clock and the new policies, and those were well attended. I've been busy interviewing for the Director of Finance and the Director of HR. I have made offers on the Director of Finance. I have not yet had confirmation of an acceptance. And the Director of HR accepted our offer and I believe started today. We did submit the annual plan to HUD after the last board meeting where you all approved it. I attended numerous CHSP board meetings and subcommittee meetings and the youth systems meeting. I think the most exciting piece of news out of those meetings is the coalition received a special grant for ending youth homelessness. And they are the only rural continuum of care in the country to have received such an award. And so there's going to be an RFP. I felt like at this time, given the short nature and that it's a little outside of our day-to-day activities, that we would not be a lead applicant, but I let everyone know that we would be happy to be a co-applicant with folks who were interested in responding. At this time, I haven't had anyone take us up on that, but the situation is fluid and ongoing. But it's a neat opportunity for the community to get this extra money. And I think it's now up around $5 million to target youth homelessness. I've had a number of meetings regarding Pueblo del Mar, including some with various county officials and other stakeholders who currently are invested in Pueblo del Mar as to what the future is for Pueblo del Mar and how can we return it to health as well as financial sustainability. And we'll keep you posted on that. I actually went and visited Rippling River. We had a geotechnical specialist look at the hill erosion, but given some of the resident complaints, I thought it made sense to take some time and get there and actually put my eyes on it. I'll wait for the geotechnical expert to give his opinion before I weigh in on what my opinion was, since I am not a geotechnical expert. But otherwise, Rippling River is a nice little development and probably has some of the best views of affordable housing in the country that I've ever seen. So if you've never had the chance to head out to Rippling River, it's worth the drive. And that concludes my secretary's report.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions from commissioners?
I had a few quick questions. Tori, I guess, could you give us an update on kind of the performance audits that that we discussed in the Board of Supervisors joint meeting?
Sure. So we have a contractor. They have started the work, and it begins like all audits with a huge document dump, which we've provided, and they are going through those documents and asking some follow-up questions. I have an update meeting with them, I believe tomorrow or Wednesday. But from the last update, they are digging in and hoping to make progress and be able to report at least a draft within the next 30 to 45 days.
Okay. And then can you just kind of update the board on the accounts receivable audit and some of the challenges there?
Yeah, so the AR reconciliation that was related to RAD is one of the primary things that was holding up the audits. And what happened, just by way of background, so folks, and if you know all of this, then you were ahead of me. But when the agency converted to RAD, they did not convert the rent ledgers timely, and that has created accounting issues that have carried over that need to be cleaned up. And what's involved is physically printing out, pulling every resident's record and matching what's in the system versus the hard copy records, and then doing the reconciliation. And this project has had a number of false starts over some period of time, and I'm not sure how long they've been working on it. But most recently, we were under the impression that Darlene was going to finish this work. And it became clear that if she wasn't on the same timeline that we were. So we've taken it back over, and staff are doing the entire process from the beginning again. And we hope to get that wrapped up soon. And I don't know, we're not talking days, but we're talking weeks. But hopefully by June 1, if not sooner.
Awesome. And then, sorry, I just had a quick list. And then with obviously one of the things we're trying to do is get the director of finance on board, and we're super shorthanded, but fair to say that we're kind of waiting on that for some of the cash analysis we've been talking about.
Yes, absolutely. The finance team right now is stretched thin. Number one priority is getting these audits done, getting this AR reconciliation done. And so that's what they've been focused on. And we're hopefully we will have somebody in that position soon, and be able to move forward with more strategic thinking.
Awesome. And then my last thing is just, could you send the new HR director's resume?
Yeah.
When you get the chance, and you may have sent this, you probably sent this previously, but if you could send just the contract on the performance audits, would love to just kind of take a look at the scope. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any questions or comments from the other commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move to item 8A, old business, resolution 3052, the authorization to appoint a representative to the Michi and Michi AA boards. Let's see here. Tori, take it away.
Sure. So the last time we brought this, we did not have a full contingent of board members. I took a poll if there were any volunteers, did not receive any volunteers. I then sent an email soliciting volunteers, and didn't get any response to that. So I turn it back over to you, board, as to how you want to handle appointing someone to the Michi and Michi AA boards.
Okay. If I've got my facts straight, Commissioner Miller currently serves on the Michi AA board, and there is now or a commissioner desires to create a vacancy. I don't know if that has yet occurred.
I don't believe it has officially occurred.
Okay, so we are looking to find a replacement commissioner. I understand that we have several folks that are members of several committees. Does anyone on the commission have any thoughts or suggestions about how we may go about finding a new commissioner to staff or join that board?
I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Booter.
I need to stay married. I don't think I can do it, Kevin.
I rescind the nomination in that case.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. If you don't take a step, you'll never get across the finish line. So, is there any other conversation that the board has about this issue? And just before we head down that path, I have not memorized the bylaws, but in reading the second whereas clause, the Michi bylaws state that 2 of its board of director members are appointed by the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey. Do those bylaws describe the status of those appointees as it relates to HACM? And the thing I'm getting at is, could it be the director of finance? Could it be the executive director or some other executive or manager level staffer in the absence of enough commissioners to do that?
My reading of the bylaws would say that is permissible.
So in terms of public members, we of course want to have HACM commissioners overseeing a quasi-public, Chodo entity. But in the absence of a sufficient number of those commissioners, we don't want to leave a seat vacant or strand somebody in a role that they can no longer participate in. So, perhaps it makes sense to complete the appointment with a staff member, leave the executive director with the discretion to appoint, we, the commissioners, appoint the executive director as a backup or the executive director's designee in the absence of 2 HACM commissioners who can attend those Michi meetings. Is that, I'm just throwing out an idea, and if nobody likes it, that's okay too. Not everybody else.
John, I'm good with that, having a staff level member be that second person, or, we don't know down the road whether or not we'll have to ever do that again or anything else. And I think that's a great option for us to have the ability to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Vice Chair Buder, it looked like you were about to say something.
No, I was just going to ask Tori if he foresaw anything problematic about that, or if he thinks it's workable.
No, I don't see anything problematic with it. I think the phrasing that Chair Wizard could probably be sharpened a little bit. I think from a process standpoint, you would want to make either an appointment by name or title, and not by delegation of like, hey, if somebody's not available, they can come and cover. But I think if you were to appoint someone, that would be fine.
All right. Any other comments or questions or ideas from commissioners?
Well, one question I had in relation to, obviously, Tori is somebody that comes to mind, but my question was in relation to that, have these meetings been in person? No, they're remote.
Their remote hunts have been for quite a while now, since all the pandemic stuff. We haven't gone back to in person yet.
I have a question.
I think the last one was hybrid.
Go ahead, Commissioner Goodwin.
What days of the week do they meet? Is there a set day like we do?
I believe it's every other month, Francine, on a Wednesday, I believe. I don't know if Mr. Rose is still on or not. I believe that's what it is.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll try and give it a whirl. My fear is that not being able to absorb all the information to report it back to you guys. But I guess they have minutes and like we do, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be alone. Commissioner Miller is also a member, so we have 2 appointees. So, if he gave a report, you could fill in the gaps, and if you gave a report, he could fill in the gaps.
And we can do it remotely.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
We could do it remotely.
It's my understanding that the meetings are at least hybrid.
Which is?
You can attend virtually if you so choose.
Okay. All right, I'll try and fill that gap.
Okay, well, that would be great. Thank you so much, Commissioner Goodwin. And please, by all means, if you, you try a meeting or 2 and you decide that it's just not a good fit for you, we don't mean to, leave you hanging by any means.
Right. Wednesdays are good for me. I'm having to do physical therapy right now because I have a issue with my hand, but I do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so on Wednesdays would work. What time of the day do they meet?
Evening.
I believe it starts at 6 o'clock normally, Francine.
In the afternoon, in the evening, okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay, well, is there, just as kind of a wrap up, is there a desire from the board to plug in a executive director backup into the resolution, or do you want to revisit that at another time? I have no opinion one way or the other. Just want to make sure that we, I put that on the table, and if we want to let go of it, great. And if we want to pursue it, that's great too.
I like it. I mean, I think that there should be a capacity to, honestly, I think having the executive director even attend from time to time, even if not a member of the board, I think would probably be good. And so having somebody as a backup, if somebody can't attend, a given session, et cetera, I think would be helpful.
I agree with that also.
Okay, well then, Tori, is it, this is not a public hearing, it's just a business item. Can I get a consensus from the board to add something to the effect of, but to be wordsmithed by Tori, that we see here in the resolution now therefore be it resolved, just to add something that more or less mirrors that, to say hereby appoints the executive director or something like that, some wording like that, as an alternative should a commissioner representative not be available, or some way to plug that in. Is there 4 out of 6 of us that feel kind of okay about that? I see a nod from Commissioner Miller. I see.
I'll agree.
I hear Mr. Healy. I'm number 3. Is there a 4th commissioner?
Yes.
All right.
That
Carol.
sounds like a good idea.
And
Great.
for a matter of the recording, I agree.
Awesome.
Me too.
So, Tori, is that clear enough for you on how to kind of wedge that in to make sure we have that capacity, as Commissioner Booter mentioned?
Yes, and to clarify, I think that it would be a alternative appointment, not necessarily a backup, because I don't think that you can appoint 2 people to the position simultaneously. And if Commissioner Miller suddenly had to do something, he can't call and say, okay, executive director, you're voting tonight, but then next meeting he's voting again. I think it would be, if one of the commissioners stepped down, then the resolution would have the authority that the alternative appointment would be the executive director.
Okay, great. So we have sufficiently modeled this for members of the public. If there are no pressing questions before we go to public comment, I'll do
Mr.
that.
Rose has his hand up.
Sure. Thank you so much, Gabby. Any other questions, last minute questions from the commissioners before we go to public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll go to public comment. Members of the public wishing to comment on, what are we on? Item 8A, Resolution 3052, about an appointment to the Michi and Michi AA Board. I will call on you and you'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please keep them focused on this item. I see Mr. Rose, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this issue. Tori is absolutely correct. If you have what was originally suggested as backups of things of our genre, you are effectively appointing 3 commissioners as representing HACM to the Michi board. The Michi bylaws specifically state no more than 2.
I don't want to cut you off, Mr. Rose. If that was your whole comment, thank you. And if not, please feel free to continue.
That's all I have. I just didn't want the Michi's board bylaws to be violated. That's all.
Very good. No, I appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. We want to make sure we do everything correctly and properly, and I'm grateful for Tori's insights on how to properly word this so that we don't disrupt the balance of commissioners to maintain the Choto status and stay within those bylaws. So I appreciate your comments. Any other public comment related to item 8A, resolution 3052, and the appointment of a commissioner or more to the. I don't see any hands up. Gabby, anybody on the phone?
No.
Okay, well then we will close public comment on item 8A and bring it back to the commission for any comments or motions.
So if we need a motion to appoint Francine, is that what we're looking at, or?
If you were interested in making a motion to both appoint Commissioner Goodwin as one of the two representatives to the Michi and Michi AA board, and also to capture our direction around an alternate, that would we don't have the exact language now, but the record will show that a majority of us agreed to include some sort of alternate language in the resolution.
I will make that motion.
Second that motion.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Miller and a second from Vice Chair Booter to appoint Commissioner Goodwin as the second of two commissioners to the Michi and Michi AA boards, as well as to include an alternate representative in case there should be a vacancy. And with that, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Chair Wizard,
Aye.
Vice Chair Booter,
Yes.
Commissioner Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballesteros,
Yes.
Commissioner Gama, Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodwin.
And
Yes.
this is Viviana. I've been on the call and I vote yes.
Oh,
Oh, great.
thank
I,
you, Commissioner Gama.
no problem.
And so it sounds like that was unanimous, 7-0. And then I'm just going to take a moment from the chair's prerogative to ask if we missed anything. It looks like 8A is resolution 3052.
It's because it was old business, so the numbers is a little off.
Sorry about that. Can you still hear me? So is there a resolution 3053 somewhere that we missed?
No, we did that last month.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for keeping me squared away then. We'll resume the normal flow of the agenda to item 9A, resolution 3054, the conflict of interest code. And I assume that this one is also Tori.
Yes, so the Political Reform Act requires that state and local government agencies adopt and promulgate a conflict of interest code. And that is different than a conflict of interest policy, which we have. The conflict of interest code guides HACM and guides other government agencies about the levels of disclosure and which positions are required to disclose on Form 700. And we currently do not have such a code. I think that the Form 700 was being done by the executive director and commissioners, but we did not have a code. And so I took a poll of several other sister agencies in the central area, Central California, and this is modeled off of the San Jose Housing Authority, Santa Clara County. And so these are my recommendations of how we would create different positions of disclosure. So the position in category 1 would be the commissioners, executive director, general counsel, directors of the board of Hackham affiliate corporations, and then the senior staff of the Housing Authority, the director of finance, housing programs, housing management, and housing development. And then a lower level of disclosure for positions that are a step below that, which are the asset manager, accounting supervisor, FSS supervisor, the housing development project manager, maintenance supervisor, the MC manager, procurement and contracts manager, property management supervisor, and the quality control manager. And then a third category, which is a consultant. And then when we go to Exhibit B, you can see how these line up. So disclosure category 1 would be all of those people in the first category, and that they would disclose all interests in real property located entirely or partly within the boundaries of the County of Monterey, or not more than 2 miles from the boundary of the County of Monterey, or any land owned or used by the authority. And then B, all investments, business positions, sources of incomes, including gifts, loans, travel payments, in or from any source that is located in, doing business in, planning to do business in, or has done business within the last 2 years within the County of Monterey. And that's kind of the standard high-level disclosure. You could have a higher level of disclosure that would be you disclose everything everywhere, but this is, again, modeled on other housing authorities. And then for the lower level of disclosure, for the management level, but not necessarily the director level, the same disclosure for real property, but then the investments and business positions and sources of income is restricted, instead of just any source, to sources that there could be alignment with things that the housing authority buys or does. So things like real property, leasing, construction, all of the things related to construction, provision of facility goods, equipment, vehicles of the type that the housing authority has used in the last 2 years, community services, facilities or programs for seniors or families and others, and then any aspect of real property acquisition or development financing. And so that's the number 2 category of disclosure. And then for the consultant category, it is saying here that they would be subject to category 1 level disclosure, although at the discretion of the executive director, if they put it in writing, they could have a more tailored disclosure requirement. And this is if the consultant does not have duties where they would be in a position to influence purchasing, you might have a lower level of disclosure requirements. But you would want this all in writing. If this conflict of interest code is adopted, the housing authority would begin to distribute Form 700s and conduct some training sessions with all of the people who would have to fill them out. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you for that report. Tori, any questions from commissioners?
I don't have any questions, Chair, but I think it brings it more in line with the way things are done at most local governments and so forth, as to who's required to report and at what level. So I think it's probably a great policy, and thank you, Tori, for all your hard work on it.
Go ahead.
I too appreciate the initiative in getting this updated. I think there's a lot of items like this, that over the years, need to be, improved and buttressed. And I think that this is, one of them. The only one question I had was, would we ever want to sort of tie it more explicitly to the actual Form 700 in terms of, for the disclosure in category 1, is that functionally the exact same thing as Form 700? Would it be clearer for people down the road to say these are the people who are filling out the entire Form 700? Or
so the Form 700 has a broader level of base disclosure, and has both direct income, so like where my job is, versus business income. I think that that's what the training is there for, is to try to help people figure out, okay, how do I comply with that? And from what I've seen on the political reform website, lots of people have lots of questions because the Form 700 is not necessarily straightforward. Yeah. And so I think the training is important, but I kind of felt like doing the policy in a way that tracked more easily with the Form 700 would make the policy 5 pages long.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other questions before we move to public comment? Okay, we will open this item for public comment. Item 9A, Resolution 3054, the Conflict of Interest Code is now available for public comment. Any members of the public wishing to comment? I'm sorry, any members of the public wishing to comment, you have 3 minutes to let us know your thoughts on this item. Anybody on the phone this time around, Gabby?
No one on the phone.
Okay, and I'm still not seeing anyone with their hand raised. I'll move it back from public comment, but not quite close it yet, just in case someone's a little slow on the keyboard. I had a couple of comments, but I want to make sure that other commissioners have that opportunity as well. Any comments from commissioners before we approach the end of this item? All right, I'm not hearing any, so I will just go forward. Tori, it's my understanding that HDC owns 1 or more parcels of real property in or near Paso Robles. And if that is the case, I think it might be appropriate to expand our geographic range for the duty to disclose to include San Luis Obispo County.
I have no objection to that.
All right. And then when you were going through your explanation of who would report and to what level, I got a little bit worried when you got into the consultant description, just because it seemed to be very complex about what was in and what was out and under what terms. And I'm wondering, we won't have the benefit of you staying forever, and that level of nuance around if someone has purchasing authority or not, they would or would not have to. I just don't know if that is a thing that will get lost over time, and if it might serve us to simplify it a little bit and just say that a consultant has to disclose that.
So I think the question really is, so this language, I didn't draft it. That language was pulled right from another agency.
Right.
So there are a number of consultants that you would hire for a very limited scope. Like, hey, they're going to do training to the voucher department on something. And they're not going to be involved with any recommendations around procurements. that it doesn't necessarily make sense to then subject them to disclosure requirements. But then there are other consultants, especially when you're doing development, that you want those development consultants to be disclosing what their interests are, so that you can be very clear that there aren't conflicts. So I think I could try to redraft it. I think the language might have been, in my mind, clearer than my description of it. But it's not a, it's a may exempt, it's not a shall exempt. So even if you left this language in, the baseline is, nope, they have to disclose with category 1 unless they get exempted.
Okay, I appreciate that clarity around it. I'm much more comfortable with the opting into exemption as opposed to opting into disclosure. And so unless anyone on the commission has any other comments or clarifications, or dislikes the expansion of the geographic range to include San Luis Obispo County, I think we are close to the end of the debate on this item. All right, well, hearing no other complaints or questions or critiques, please help us advance the agenda and move this item as you see fit.
I will make a motion that we adopt the conflict of interest policy as presented.
And I
Second.
second.
It's been properly moved by Commissioner Miller and seconded by Commissioner Ballesteros. Commissioner Miller, did I hear you at the same time as Commissioner Ballesteros make an utterance? I couldn't quite tell if you had more to add there.
No, I think that was Kevin and her simultaneously seconded it, sir.
Yeah, I will defer my second to Commissioner Ballesteros.
Okay, very good. I just heard a man's voice and I couldn't tell who was saying what. Commissioner Miller, just as a point of clarification, does your motion include the expansion into SLO County?
Yes, sir. The expansion into San Luis Obispo County.
And Commissioner Ballesteros, was that your understanding as well?
Yes, it includes the expansion to San Luis Obispo County.
Thank you both so much. It's been properly moved and seconded. A roll call vote, please.
Chair Wizard,
Aye.
Vice Chair Booter,
Yes.
Commissioner Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballesteros,
Yes,
Commissioner Gama,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodwin.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move to item 10A, the HR report.
So the HR report right now is we hired a new HR director. So that's the big report. And we look forward to starting the more regular reports soon. We also, as I mentioned in the secretary's report, updated the vacation and time and attendance policies. As I had mentioned to the personnel committee, we are dealing with some issues around FLSA classifications. As you may be aware, there is a California minimum wage for employees who are classified as exempt, and that goes up every year. And so we need to reevaluate some positions as to whether they stay exempt or whether they become non-exempt and are then eligible for overtime. So we will be looking into that this month and trying to resolve those issues. And that concludes my HR report.
Thank you very much. 10B, development and property management.
Okay, I will start. So this month, if you noticed, Jose and I went ahead and combined our reports together. So Jose's on if you have any questions for the Hackham managed properties. I've got folks from the John Stewart Company that are also on if there's any specific questions relative to the sites that they manage. I'll give a brief update on the projects we're currently working on. So Casanova, we're down to the final balcony, finally the final balcony fix out there for our lender. We've got the concrete and asphalt driveway that was taken care of. Staff's going to go out this week and do a final walkthrough with the contractor and make sure that everything's acceptable to us before our lender comes out and does their site visit. Over at Parkside here in town, we have modules that have come in and are located in our staging area, and the large crane is going to come out on Wednesday, and Thursday morning we should be stacking units for building A, which will be the community center and property management offices. And then we'll jump right into our next 4-story building C on the site as well. So that's exciting for this week. And then over at Tynan, the rain held us back a little bit with the painting progress that was going on last week. So we hope to resume that either tomorrow or Wednesday. But we've got finished stucco on building B and half of building C ready to get painted. And then we're finishing up the last 2 phases of demo over on building A. And that's pretty much the big ticket items. If anybody has any questions, let me know, or Jose, who's also on.
Yeah.
Carolina, I had one question. Before the shakeup earlier this year, we had discussed a survey of residents that I think some folks at HCC were working on, sort of rolling out across the portfolio, which I was sort of looking forward to. Again, obviously understandable with all the change, but do we think that we have capacity at this point to kind of push that forward, or what's the status of that?
We do. I'll get that back on our radar and get that moving, and obviously I'll get help from our folks in property management to get that out to the tenants. So I'll have a better report for you next month.
Great. Could you do me a favor and just send me what you landed on for language on that?
Sure.
Great. Anybody else? Thank you very much. And then before we move to housing programs, Gabby, would you mind just to the right of where your cursor is, just clicking that little arrow to get rid of that right-hand side list of options? Oh, further down, just it's right next to fill and sign. It's a purple pencil. And there's a little arrow to the left of that, just where you were a second ago. A little further. Oh,
I don't see it on my end.
oh, well, it's just, if you go up just an inch to the right, stop, that thing.
I see it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Next will be 10C, the housing programs report.
Yes, good evening. As you can see, this is our normal report that I put out for what's going on in the HCV department. I did went ahead and I did put the utilization, unit utilization and the budget utilization, because one of our, Commissioner Booter wanted to see what our utilization would be, that is contracted, what is being expended from the housing assistance payments and how we calculated the percentage. So going forward, I would be adding that information with Tori's help. So we would get that information for the board. I'm also working on, we will be opening the waiting list for the HCV just to accept foster youth applications. It's not to accept any housing choice vouchers. This is just based on the FYIs. We're also going to be opening the waiting list within 2 weeks for some of our project base, which would be Rippling River. Nuevo Amanecer is one of our new PBBs that were awarded. So I'm working with a contractor trying to get those, the HAP contract signed so we could start opening the waiting list. And we still continue to accept applications for the larger families, which are the 4 and 5 bedrooms. We really don't have enough people on those waiting lists. And sometimes we do have vacancies. So it does take us a while to fill up those units. In a few weeks, we're also going to be scheduling just regular housing choice voucher families to start interviewing some of those families. We continue to schedule the EHV, which is the emergency housing vouchers. We are scheduling 60 families this week, so hopefully we do get a good turnout so we could start using some more of the EHV vouchers. I think that's it, unless the board has any other questions.
Maria, I have a question.
Sure.
What is the process? What is considered emergency homeless? You know, if you could explain how that a person can qualify that, like what would be like, how they qualify for that?
Yeah, I can take that one. So the emergency housing voucher.
I'm sorry, Tori, let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because a couple of people have been asking me about the waiting list. Some of them, they're in a situation where they're really barely making it. And also too, the reason why I'm asking this is because too, it might be a senior person that is disabled. And it's affecting their mental state. And what I mean by that is they don't have a mental illness or anything, but it's affecting them psychologically. And so that's just my question. Just make it, you know, the response can just be general, but just so I can get an idea.
Can I address it, Tori? For the emergency housing choice vouchers, we do have partner agencies. We have close to 14. So in order to qualify for the emergency housing choice voucher, they have to go through one of those partner agencies and be referred through the COC, which is the coalition. So I know that a lot of families, and we're trying to work with the partner agencies to figure out, because a lot of the families are getting confused. They're saying, well, the housing authority hasn't referred them. Well, they have to come through, it's a referral based. We go through their, which is their portal. We receive all the referrals, and from that list, that's how we schedule them. So they're just being referred. So I know that a lot of families are saying, well, I need housing, you know, I haven't been referred. So we've been working with our COC, which is Roxanne, and also Josh, trying to figure out how they could refer them to us, because there's rankings how they refer them to us.
And Maria, so the COC uses something called a vulnerability index.
Yes, correct.
And so what they do based on a number of factors is they try to figure out, of the homeless, who are the most vulnerable. Whose life are we going to save if they got housing right now?
Correct.
And what happens is then less vulnerable homeless never get referred, because there are always people who have a higher vulnerability that come through. But that is managed by the COC and the partner agencies. And it's really based in federal policy. This is what the feds want us to do. I know that we do have some other vouchers that we have set aside.
Correct.
Maria, is that waiting list open?
Yeah, that is the homeless set aside, and that's what I had mentioned, that we are going to get started in interviewing just regular HCV, which they're on that list. So that is going to be our primary, you know, we're working with regular emergency housing choice vouchers, but then also our regular housing set aside vouchers.
But I
so
think
we're going to be really busy.
I think any commissioner, you can always, if someone has reached out to you, you can always refer them to us. And if we're able to place them on a waiting list, we will. But if we're not and they're more appropriate for EHV, we can refer them to partner agencies.
Okay, sounds great. And one more question, is that, the 14 agencies that list, is it on the Housing Authority website?
Mm,
No, not at this time. We do have it on the COC. With the coalition, they have all the information about the emergency housing choice vouchers.
What's the can you
I'll
give me-
send you, I'll look it up and I'll send you that information.
Thank you. That would be great. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Maria.
Hey, so I had one last one. So the calculation I think I was talking about last time was actually on the success rate, just understanding what we mean by that, because is it like a 12-month look back, etc. So even if it's like a bullet point or something in like 10-point type, just telling us what that calculation is based on, that would be helpful for me.
Okay.
All right.
And I just put the website on the chat so folks can find it there.
Yeah.
Okay. We will move from 10C and go to item 11, commissioner comments. In no particular order, since I'm just looking at the participant list, Commissioner Ballesteros.
I just want to say congratulations to Edith Alapisco. I personally know her because I used to work for her. She used to work for the LSI Union School District, so I know her. So I just want to send out a big congratulations to her. I also want to thank all the staff and for all the people that provided input and addressed concerns. Thank you, Tori. Gabriela, thank you so much. And I'm going to tell you, I have a big load off my shoulders when I finished that ethics training. I actually shouted out loud, hallelujah. So everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Booter.
No, I appreciate everyone's hard work. I think, some important topics on the agenda tonight. I think honestly, some of the most important work going on is on the hiring front. At the end of the day, I think long-term, what's going to matter here is, are we bringing in the right people, to do the work? And obviously we have some important work going on that front on the executive director search. So I'm pleased that we found an HR director that Tori's excited about, and filling some of these positions, I think is definitely the right priority. So good job so far.
Great. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Commissioner Goodwin.
Pretty much echo what Commissioner Bruder said. Congratulations on the hiring of a HR position. I know that was definitely needed. We're getting closer to completing a lot of our goals, and that's exciting. And thank you to the staff and all the commissioners for all their hard work and everything that they do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Miller.
Thank you. Congratulations to Edith, 15 years. It's a great accomplishment. And thank you to staff, everyone at the Housing Authority, for what I believe are some very informative reports that are coming back now, and the information that we're getting. So I do appreciate all of your hard work. And that would be all.
Great. Thanks so much, Commissioner Healy.
I would echo the comments congratulating Edith for her 15 years of service. I would also echo Commissioner Booter's comments relative to the hiring of the Human Resources Director. Congratulations, Tori, on that. Thank you, Gabby and Carolina, for all your hard work, and Maria for all of your hard work as well. And congratulations and thank you to Commissioner Goodwin for stepping up to be the representative for Michi.
Thank you. Commissioner Gama.
I would just like to echo what everybody said so far. Congratulations to the service award recipient, and thank you, Tori, for all the HR, all your work finding us an HR director, and just thank you to everybody. Keep up the good work.
Great, thank you so much. And I'll just share that I'm thankful for our dedicated staff who work with our agency in serving the households throughout Monterey and San Luis Obispo County for decades at a time. Very grateful for them. A big thank you to Commissioner Goodwin for stepping up to help us with the Michi and Michi AA boards. And thanks to all the staff for their dedication on meeting nights. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Great. See you in the next meeting.
Thank you all.